Hey guys, so next week's topic is going to be codependency. Big topic. If you haven't subscribed, just go to my website so you not only get texts and reminders throughout the week, but on Friday you're going to get a link to a Google Doc texted to you so you could just do everything on your phone. And this link will be a Google Doc of all the nuggets of information, bullet points, so you go deeper on the topic. So every Friday, if you're a subscriber, you get the link to the private Google Doc with a deeper dive on the topic. So let's talk about codependency. First, I want to say that since it's a word that's thrown around a lot, that we as people are dependent on other people, and that's okay, right? We're tribal creatures. So yes, you should depend on your husband to have a meal for you. If you worked a 17-hour day, you should depend on your wife or girlfriend to text you back in a certain amount of time because you're important in her life. There should be some dependency when it comes to how you engage with each other and how you guys create and build a relationship, right? The day-to-day requires dependency, but there's a difference between that and unhealthy dependency where you start to lose your sense of self. So at the end of the day, codependency is the need to be needed so much that that's what the relationship hangs on. So people who are codependent find their identity through the other person or the relationship, or more accurately, they find their identity in the mirror that your partner is holding up, right? So whatever your partner is giving you, that that feeling of being needed, because you tie your value to this performance or this fixing or wanting to help someone or be an intricate part of someone's life, wanting to feel dependent, right? So when someone is dependent on you, it makes you feel important. So that becomes a priority. That becomes how you define love. And that's when it gets unhealthy. So codependency is enmeshment. So instead of doing life with someone on your own set of tracks, you are now doing life on top of someone. And I'm not talking sexually, get your mind out of the gutter. I'm talking about two people blending into this one person, this one identity, this one thing, instead of two whole individual people living their own lives. Now, the reason why codependency is so prevalent, is that a word? The reason why codependency is so common with addicts is because people who are addicts, it's prevalent, that's a word. Okay, the reason why codependency is so prevalent in addiction is because addicts need someone, they depend on someone, and that dependency is very attractive to the codependent who feels value and gets their worth from that dependency, right? And then what happens is you realize that as you grow, that you no longer want to be someone's servant or dependent, and so then the relationship changes and people start outgrowing each other, and that affects the chemistry and all of that stuff because you no longer are codependent. So also codependency happens kind of naturally when we're in high school because we don't have any other tools. You know, in high school, we lose ourselves in other people, especially when they're early love experiences, and those love experiences are imprinted on our hearts that are like fresh powder snow, right? When we're in high school, everything is life or death. When we're in high school, if someone asks you to the prom, you're on top of the world. And if that person doesn't, then, you want to kill yourself. So because we maneuver in extremes and because we don't also like ourselves and we're in a discovery of finding ourselves, we're set up to be codependent. We're set up to depend and get our worth from other people because we're such sponges at that age, right? And so codependency is common in high school. It doesn't mean you have a problem. But also then as you grow up and you become more independent, right? Pay taxes and make your own bed and pay rent and create your own life. Naturally, you should be less dependent on someone else. So that's kind of the foundation of codependency. I think the way to kind of grow out of it, well, a lot of people grow out of it through hitting their rock bottom, through dysfunction, pain, through being controlled. A lot of people have to go through that to realize that they are codependent, right? Through enmeshment. But as you start to grow out of it, seeing a therapist, processing this stuff, so not only reading information, but also processing and learning about how you're wired, what's coming up for you, why you do the things you do, why you're attracted to the certain type of people, like actually studying the dynamic of the relationships that you are in or were, and studying about yourself and why you gravitate toward people and all that. So once you start doing that, you're going to start to have revelations. And as you have revelations, you're going to start to make different choices. And these different choices lead to different experiences. Now, usually the first healthy experience is going to feel weird. And a lot of people who were in codependent relationships and then have their first kind of healthy relationship, they're going to feel unloved. They're going to feel like, oh, this is not what love looks like, because they're not used to it. But if you stick with it and you continue to learn about yourself and grow and discover and be very open to new experiences without judgment, then you start to change and shift internally, where when you actually smell codependency, then you start to get repelled by it. It's like when your taste buds change, right? So me at 46, I could only eat like one donut because the sugar's too much. Okay, I lied. I could eat 5 donuts. No, I'm kidding. I could eat like 2. Before I could inhale 6, right? That's because my taste buds have permanently changed, where I'm more sensitive to sugar. It's the same thing with relationship dynamics. It's the same thing when you're going through your personal growth and journey, and what you used to be very attracted to now will start to repel you. And that's a sign that you are growing and that you are no longer codependent or defining your worth by the need to be needed. What else? So those are broad strokes of codependency. We're going to talk about it all this week. I'm going to send you a giant Google Doc on Friday of next week. So jump in if you want, and let's start this conversation. I'll give you reminders throughout the week. A lot of codependence, that wiring, that positioning starts from childhood, when our parents don't love us because we're valuable, but they love us contingent on our performance, our achievement, our ability. So whether we're talking about sports or cleaning the house or our grades, right? So our love, when love becomes conditional, we learn early on that we must feel needed to be loved or to feel valuable. And so it starts at an early age, and of course continues on until it no longer works for you, and you realize that healthy love is 2 people on 2 separate tracks or 2 separate bathtubs, not in a jacuzzi.